Hey Gothamites, and welcome to History of the Batman. I'm your host Londyn, and here we relive the defining moments of one of the most iconic figures in comic book art and literature, the Batman. Today I am joined by a very special guest, Susan Eisenberg, who is the voice of Wonder Woman in the Justice League Unlimited, animated TV shows, Superman Batman Apocalypse, Justice League Doom, and Just as Gods Among Us, and she is the voice of Wonder Woman. So how are you, Susan?
I'm well. It's such a pleasure to be here.
I'm
Thank
so
you
excited.
for the invitation.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. It's wonderful. Thank you.
And it's perfect time to talk to her because it's Wonder Woman's 75th anniversary. DC Comics is celebrating it. Wonder Woman debuted in All-Star Comics number 8 in 1941. And it's been 75 years of her in comics, on TV, and now the Wonder Woman film is coming out next year. So what are your thoughts on Wonder Woman's role now in not just comics, but just in pop culture? She is such an iconic figure. And now she is, I think, she can become a role model for young girls, young women. What are your thoughts on this fictional character influencing society and our pop culture?
Well, I think she's a role model for young girls, and I applaud that. I mean, the more that young girls can see themselves out there, the better it is for them and for us as a society. I think that she resonates not just with young girls or women or men, but with also people who are outsiders. She came onto the scene and she was in a man's world, if you will, and having to find her way. And I think anytime somebody gets to see themselves on camera, in a book, portrayed in any way that they haven't before, it gives legitimacy, it gives them validation.
Yes.
And it says, yes, you exist and we know you're there, you're seen. And I think that is a very, very powerful thing for a child, for a little girl, a little boy. I'm just such a proponent of that. Like, let them see themselves in our comics, in our stories.
Yes, and Wonder Woman is, as we know, there's the Trinity. Right. There's Batman, there's Superman.
Heard of him?
Yes. There's Superman, right. And there's Wonder Woman, and all three are such dynamic characters, and they bring so much to the table in that trifecta, and even in Justice League. And it's amazing that Wonder Woman, who, yes, she is a woman, but she stands toe-to-toe with these strong male figures, so it's incredible that Wonder Woman has had such a staying power for 75 years, I think.
I think it is incredible, and it's exciting because we get to celebrate her more than we usually do. And what I love about the character, she's not an offshoot of another character. She is a stand-alone creation, and she's her own woman. She's not Batman's, long-lost sister. She wasn't created to be, connected to them. She was created to be a singular person in her own right.
Right.
And I love that.
Yes.
And she just gets better and better.
I know. And it's great because she has had a long history in comics, and you're right, she is standalone. She doesn't have to be connected to other DC Comics people or anything, which is incredible because not every hero or villain can say that. And you have voiced Wonder Woman in Justice League, and which is one of my favorite anime shows. The DCAU all by itself is so popular, and you introduced many people to the character. We discuss in the podcast, which is actually linked in the description box below, our full interview. We discussed that Linda Carter is probably the first time that people who didn't read the comics were introduced to Wonder Woman. And even now today, people still say Linda Carter is their Wonder Woman. And we discussed that there is a gap between Linda Carter in the 70s on TV portraying Wonder Woman, and now Gal Gadot in the Wonder Woman live action film, but there's this 30-year gap, and you kept alive this character through the animated TV shows, and you introduced the character to so many people. So when I read Wonder Woman comics, I hear your voice. You are Wonder Woman to me. And your role, or Wonder Woman's role in the Justice League, I think, and we discussed this in the podcast as well, each character has their own way or their own persona or unique character that makes up the Justice League. And we discuss what you think Wonder Woman's role in Justice League is and kind of where she stands and how she keeps the group kind of together or fluent. So, like, quickly, what are your thoughts on what Wonder Woman is in Justice League?
Oh my God, you just said so much, and I want to respond to all of it.
No, respond away.
And I will say this though, like it was given to me by Bruce Timm, because and the Warner Brothers team, because that, honestly, I say it all the time in interviews, but it was a gift that was given to me. So if I kept her alive, that is really, thanks to that team and those writers and directors who animated her and wrote for her and if I gave that voice, that's the best, and that you read the comics with my voice in mind or me in mind, it's just wonderful. So she is that standalone person in that series, and she keeps everybody in top form, and she's willing to fight the good fight, and yet she comes there, she's uncertain of her surroundings. It's a learning curve for her, and watching her grow up and mature and acclimate to a man's world and to the League, it's a fascinating tale. I mean, I just loved the journey. It was great taking it, and it's great watching it now and revisiting it, which I do all the time.
Yes, I was watching Justice League last night, and I watch it over and over. I rewatch those shows and the movies because I love it. I love the dynamic between all the characters, and I love the portrayal of Wonder Woman. And in the podcast, you talk about how Wonder Woman, she's there to get the job done. That is one of her roles, and I think I see that a lot in Batman in certain ways, which I do. Yes,
so smooth.
This transition, yes. So as many of you know, a lot of fans like Wonder Woman and Batman in a relationship. They call him WonderBat, and that really lives within the animated shows, which is interesting because I have a lot of people who follow the blog and listen to the podcast that are really excited when they're like, oh, Wonder Woman and Batman, they should be together, they should be an item, they should be a thing. And that really isn't seen in the comics. We see it in JLA in 2003, 2004 volume, and they share a very brief moment, but then they realize they should just be friends. But we see that continuous flirtation in Justice League Unlimited, and I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on WonderBat?
Well, I love them. I do love them together, but not in that, like, married children figuring out a good school for the kids.
Right.
Not in that domesticated way, but just in that it was hinted at in the Justice League, and the story kind of kept going forward. And I love that it's more of a question mark. It's not... I don't know that we'll ever really see them on a date, but we'll catch these moments when they're dancing, or they have to pretend they're a couple and she'll kiss him on the cheek. So that's fun to play. It's fun to have that aspect of her, and I think it's fun for Kevin to do that as well. So I've enjoyed it, and I enjoy the fans out there who love it, because I'm one of them. I'm totally one of those fans who loves it.
That's so cool. And it is interesting that so many people do like that relationship, but it really only lives in the animated shows. So,
well, what can I tell you? It was a very special show.
Yes. No, it was. It's a special show to me, and all of the work you've done with Wonder Woman, including the video game Justice League, or Injustice Gods Among Us, which is one of my favorite games to play, and this is the perfect time to celebrate Wonder Woman. I mean, I always celebrate her.
I do too.
Even though I love Batman, I love Wonder Woman as well.
Well, that's the thing about love. It's not limited to one person.
Right.
We can love Batman. We can love Wonder Woman. We can even love Hawkgirl. But it's important that we just keep our hearts open.
Exactly. So I, of course, wanted to thank you for coming on the podcast, for coming on this vlog. And if you want to listen to our full interview on the podcast, like I said, you can listen to it on iTunes. It's linked in the description box below. And if you liked this vlog and you love Susan Eisenberg, because who doesn't? Who doesn't love Wonder Woman? Then you should like this vlog and, of course, subscribe so you don't miss a new take on a new discussion of Batman Mythos every week. And yes, I want to thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I wanted to thank Meltdown Comics for producing and recording this show.
Thank you.
And you can come to get Wonder Woman comics, statues, all kinds of stuff here at 7522 Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles. So thank you, Wonder Woman. And until next week, remember Gothamites, it's all about peace, love, and Batman.